Greetings to all those who need a break from life and have taken the time to let me hold your ear hostage for a short period of time. Welcome to Groove with Portia, the extended QuaranTOLD edition. I'm your host, Portia Booker, and yes, this is my real name. Groove with Portia targets those who are curious, eager, and hungry for new information that can aid in their personal and professional development. Someone once told me, if you want to know something, ask. The answer is always no until you do. I ask, and I bring back those answers in the form of an expert. Don't forget to follow me on Instagram at Portia_the_producer. Once again, that's Portia_the_producer. Before I dive into my topic for today, I want to introduce my guest. So my guest who I have today is one of the first guests that I had when I started doing this almost a year ago. So welcome back, Dr. Tameka Ellington. Welcome back.
Thank you so much, Portia. It's an honor to be with you again today.
I know, right? I know we've both had a lot of positive things and good stuff come our way, but I've been watching you, and I'm very excited to see all the stuff that you have, and I'm very excited to talk about two of the big things that you have going on. So I'm just like, oh my God, I'm like a little kid in the candy store.
Oh, well, thank you. Thanks. I mean, my goal in life is to educate and inspire. So if I can do that, through the multiple, venues or, whatever I'm doing, that's always the goal.
Yes, indeed. And I think especially right now with all the current events, COVID and everything else going on, we need that right now. We need to kind of give ourselves a positive distraction, but still be mindful of everything that's going on.
Yes.
So for our listeners who don't know Dr. Tameka Ellington, Dr. Ellington is an educator, scholar, motivational speaker, professional development strategist, and first-generation advocate. Dr. Ellington is also the Associate Professor of Design at my alma mater, Kent State University, but she is in the fashion school. She is also the Interim Assistant Dean for the College of Arts. Dr. Ellington's work has been shown internationally, including 2 exhibits in Beijing, China. She has received many awards, one of her most recent being the 2019 First Generation Advocate Award, the 2018 Ohio Board of Trustees Banquet Award, hosted by Kent State University's Provost Daikon, and the 2017 Alumni Legacy Award. Dr. Ellington is also the CEO and founder of the First Generation Revolutionaries Movement. Her mantra is revolutionize your thinking. Thank you again, Dr. Ellington, for joining me.
Thank you.
So August is one of my favorite months. So much happens in August. I mean, people are starting school, whether it's college, little kids going back to school to see their friends again. Some people start new jobs. Some people travel. I mean, so much happens in August. It's like that transitional month. So
yes.
Once upon a time, a real group called the Secret Society of Happy People decided to dedicate a day to the pursuit of happiness. Members of the society wanted to let happy feelings linger inside them every day. So in 2000, the Secret Society of Happy People expanded the celebration to Happiness Happens Month in August. Happiness is a choice. Remembering happiness does not mean you are problem-free. That kind of life doesn't exist. As the Stoics of ancient Greece observed, happiness is all about the quality of your thoughts. Happiness is not a destination, but rather a lifelong pursuit. Joy can be anywhere at any time. Don't limit yourself to searching for pleasure. Enjoy everything and anything that makes you happy. Oprah Winfrey said, "It wasn't until she learned to be happy that good things started happening to her." What do you think, Dr. Ellington? National Happiness Month. What makes you happy, Dr. Ellington?
Well, August is one of my favorite months too. I graduated with my undergraduate degree at Kent State and my graduate degree, my PhD at Kent State in August. My baby son, who is about to be 8 years old, was born in August. My wedding anniversary is in August. My husband and I were married 13 years ago, and we were married on August 11th. My mother's birthday is in August, as well as my mother-in-law's birthday is in August. So August is a celebration month for us, as well as a month, like you said, to go back to school and to get ready for that transition. You know, as a mom, that's the month where you got to kind of get yourself in gear to get ready for school. But, you know, things are going to be a little different this time, you know, because of the pandemic. So we'll see what it's going to be like.
Neither can I. And that's why I said, August, so much to celebrate. And just like you, Dr. Ellington, I got my undergrad at Kent State in 2016, August 20th of 2016. And when I think back to the year 2016, that was a very, very busy and big year for me. I mean, it was graduation year. I also had my internship that summer with the RNC, and I also traveled abroad. I went to Greece and Cyprus. So, I mean, there was a lot going on that year. And I can't forget that I moved out of state that year. I got my quote unquote
wow,
big girl job. I mean, all within 3 months. Like everything happened three. It's crazy when I think back on it because it doesn't even seem real. You know, sometimes I have dreams that I still live in Tulsa, Oklahoma, that I'm still in my bed. I can still hear the little kids running around in the neighborhood, or, you know, if it's at night, you hear little crickets and things. Because the neighborhood I lived in Tulsa, I lived in the South Side, and it's very quiet. And so you can literally hear a pin drop outside. But sometimes it's just hard to believe that how fast time goes.
Yes.
And just how quick things can change.
That's true. That is so true. And it's interesting because, you know, even though everybody has been home, it seems like time has been going expeditiously fast. I don't know why. I don't know what it is, but you're right. I mean, this time that we've been at home has gone a lot faster than I expected it to go.
You're right. It's like every day's Groundhog Day. That's what my friend's grandma said.
Exactly. Yep.
We still have the same 24 hours, but it's like they're crunched, like they're half. Like, you know, like 1 hour is literally 30 minutes. Or
that's true.
Like I used to describe summer as one long day with several naps in between. Because, you know, when you're a little kid, summertime, it's like you want to stay out with your friends. You want to go to this amusement park, or if you have a family trip that comes up every year, and the trip is a week long, but it literally feels like it's an hour long because time, you know, you get there, then it's like, oh shoot, where'd the time go? Now I'm heading back home. So
I can definitely, what you just described, I can definitely say that yes, it seems like this time since we've been at home, it's been one long day with some naps in between.
I agree with that. It's like you're confined behind four walls.
Yeah.
And, you know, that's how it is for me. I work remotely, and it's so weird. Literally, I still keep my same routine. Don't get me wrong. I still get up between 4 and 4:30. I know the crack of dawn before, you know, the graveyard shift, you know, because I want to keep my routine. Get up, walk my dog, you know, get dressed, eat, all that. And it helps me to stay on track. But, you know, not everybody can do that. But it's like, oh my God, I'm just coming downstairs. I'm not going to get in my car and drive anywhere.
Right.
So
but routine is very important. So I'm glad you've been able to keep your routine.
Oh yeah, if I'm not on a routine, I'm going crazy. I'm just saying, I have to stick to a routine because I notice when I get off of it, I'm off. Like my whole day is off. I can't focus. I feel antsy, and that kind of goes back to like happiness month for August, is keeping that routine and even changing it up, you know, just a little bit. You know, for example, let's say if one of my friends and we've been talking because there's been so much going on. She's like, you know, Portia, you may want to take 2 hours a day to yourself. Because I normally dedicate at least one day during the week to my self-care time. Like I designate Mondays as my self-care day. Because I know.
Oh, good for you.
because I know a lot of people gripe and complain about Mondays being bad, which I don't see that. To me, the day is how you make it. I feel like any day can be turned around. It's all about, once again, having that open mind and you're, having those positive thoughts and like your mantra that you live by. Revolutionize your thoughts. So, when I do that, at least I plan on doing that this month, is incorporating 2 hours a day to myself and not just having one whole day as my self-care day. Because you figure it's not like I'm taking a full day of PTO. I still have to work 8 hours and then, depending on what I do. So I think that's what I'm really excited about, is taking those 2 hours and just diving into something creative, whether it's writing a short story, a poem, or even reading a book, just something that is relaxing for me.
Oh, that sounds like something that I can only dream about. I have not had 2 hours to myself in months. And if I could squeeze that in, I don't know what I would do with myself. I usually, after I'm done working and after I feed the children and my husband some dinner, I usually take a walk. And I usually try to take as long as I can on my walk. And so I've been able to stretch my walk out about 45 minutes. And then after that, the kids are talking about, well, Mommy, where were you? So it's like being able to have 2 hours sounds like paradise.
Yeah. And sometimes on, Mondays, like I said, I've designated that day as my self-care day. Even sometimes I don't even get to have self-care time on Monday, even though it's designated for that. So at least scheduling 2 hours a day gives me that allotted time regardless, because then I can plan my schedule accordingly. Kind of like, you work from 6 to 2:30 and you're not going to get paid overtime if you try to stay 5 minutes later. I have to have the same discipline and mentality when it comes to that. Sticking to that 2 hours, whether it's taking a nap for 30 minutes, getting me some coffee, because I love coffee. I probably have 2 or 3 cups a day, and I like my coffee dark, like my soul and my sense of humor. I tell people that all the time. Yeah, I don't put sugar and stuff in my coffee. Now, if I go out to my friend's house who lives in between Cleveland and Erie, I'll have like a little bit of creamer in my coffee, but for the most part, I just like a jet black.
Yeah.
Because it's all for thinking. It gives me concentration fuel, is what I call it. But I actually like the taste of coffee. I really do.
That's funny. I get my concentration fuel from eating popcorn, and I chew gum. Those are my 2 vices. And whenever I have something that I really need to sit and think about, or like if I have like a deadline that I gotta meet, you better believe I have some popcorn with me. I have been kind of a popcorn connoisseur.
Oh, that skinny pop is quite addictive.
Yeah.
Because I'm allowed to have a cup of that on the healthy lifestyle that I'm doing. I have a friend who does my remote personal training, and I can only have certain snacks. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, that's what I'm really excited about August, is making a lot of different changes and incorporating more things that I want to do in those 2 hours. Like, and I'm planning on switching it up. I'm not going to just have an hour of reading time. No. If I have to do each thing in 15-minute increments, I don't care. I just know that that's my decompressed time, and it's just going to make me happy. More happy.
Well, I can't wait to see, what, kind of, influence or effect that's going to have on your life. Being able to have those 2 hours, like I said, to me sounds like paradise. And I can't wait to hear what happens, what your spirit does, because you have that 2 hours of just bliss by yourself. And see, that's been the thing for me, is just finding time to just be by myself. So I can't wait to see what you are able to accomplish in those 2 hours.
Yes, absolutely, Dr. Ellington. I plan on being very strict about it. So if some of my friends have to get cut off for 2 hours, I hope they will understand. So, Dr. Ellington, with it being August, school, is going to be starting back up for the kids. And, how are you kind of feeling about that? What's your game plan for your kids with, COVID still being here?
So when we first got the orders to stay home this past spring, that was the first time that I ever had a chance to homeschool my kids. And, it was quite difficult in the beginning with having to balance homeschooling and then, working from home. So, working remotely to do all the responsibilities that I need for Kent State and then also to working on my business. It was quite stressful. And so what my husband and I have decided to do for this upcoming fall, for the first 9 weeks, that's what the school board, Akron Public School Board is saying, that they're going to give the first 9 weeks as online remote learning, and then they'll reevaluate. But what we have decided is to hire a tutor that can come in to be with the kids during the time while they're doing their schoolwork, so that I can, be able to work, he can be able to work, and my stress levels will be, a lot less if we can get somebody to come and, be with the children while we're trying to work, So that's the plan. And we'll see if I can find someone. I'm praying that I will be able to. I'll be able to try to tap into some of those substitute teachers who unfortunately aren't going to be working because of COVID. So I'm hoping I can find somebody. If you know somebody, please tell me.
I'll put some fillers out there, Dr. Ellington. I mean, that's interesting that you are having a tutor come, and the fact that both you and your husband have worked out something, to still keep your kids engaged and also still be able to do your jobs as well. Because that's what I think is the stress right now for a lot of parents.
Yes, it is.
And, I feel for a lot of freshman college students. I mean, right? A lot of them are going to be, taking classes probably remotely, even if the colleges allow students to live on campus. I mean, I wouldn't want to live on campus with everything that's going on. I'd have on a hazmat suit 24/7, but people probably look at me like I'm crazy. But I mean, but you don't really know. I mean, I've had so many people in my network that have either had COVID themselves or have had a family member with COVID. And I mean, realistically, it's not like the bubonic plague where you see the physical symptoms and then you figure everybody's immune system is kind of messed up anyway because allergies are bad. Then allergies kind of look like a cold, and so it's one of those triple domino effects going on.
Yeah. Yep.
And I'm curious to see how the first 9 weeks go, remotely, as far as like instruction, because I mean they're doing it remotely through like either Zoom or Teams. But my thing is, if you have younger kids, I mean, younger kids don't have a longer attention span. That's like
That's right.
thing.
Yeah. Yep. And thank goodness, my children are not that young. So my youngest son, like I said, will be 8, and then I have an 11-year-old. So they're old enough, to be able to sit at the computer for a couple hours, if they need to. Thank goodness I don't have any small babies. I don't know what I would do. I would be pulling my hair out.
Yeah, you and me both. And I feel for some of my friends who have children who are under 6 that require that kind of like 24/7, monitoring. My one neighbor, I was talking to her, and her daughter, I believe, is about 6 or 7, and she said that she goes to like a daycare or something 2 days a week. And I said, ooh, I'm like, I'm thinking, I hope you have her alcohol down every time she gets in your car. I mean, because, you don't know. I mean, you don't know who cleans up throughout the day, at night, how often, what they use. God forbid if one of the teachers or care workers has, if they're married to somebody who works in the healthcare field or is also a essential worker, it's just all these different parallels that could take place.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm lucky, like I said, knock on wood, that I'm able to work remotely. And it's even, people say, well, you got it easy because you get to work remote. Well, I'm a social butterfly. I'm dying over here.
Exactly. Yep.
I mean, I
Yeah.
can't go anywhere. I mean, yeah, I can to the store. My friend made a joke. She said, well, if you want to take a quick trip, just go out your back door and go to the front door. Said, oh, well, what kind of souvenirs do you want me to pick up? I mean, weeds, trash. I mean, if I get lucky, maybe carry one of those little feeders and maybe catch a few cardinals, a hummingbird, but even still, I mean, so it's like we're all kind of feeling the crunch.
Yes. Yes, we are, in different ways. Yeah, I'm blessed enough to be able to work from home too. And like you said, I mean, everybody's feeling the crunch in some way, shape, or form.
Absolutely, Dr. Ellington. And while we're kind of on this topic of students going back to school, lots of first generation college students might have to take online courses instead of,
Right.
having the in-person instruction. And, your company, the, Entirely Incorporated, you also being a first generation advocate. This is why I wanted to have you on the show, because I know you can provide different tips and things like that from what you use to be successful. So what tips
Yes.
can you offer to some of these first generation college students that, since this is a different year and also a different type of instruction, what tips can you offer to help them get through the semester?
One thing that I can say is, once this COVID situation started happening, and then, we had our students, high school students who didn't get a chance to go to prom, or college students didn't get a chance to go to their graduation. My heart was just hurting for those kids, and my heart is still hurting, for my first gen students who are disproportionately affected by COVID. Being in a household where they may not have adequate internet access. There's lots of different elements to being at home. I know for me, when I was a student, I would have died if I would have had to go back home. Being in college for me was like being in paradise. I mean, I got a chance to be away from my inner city neighborhood so that I can concentrate on my work. And so I can just imagine what those first gen students are having to deal with. And about 50% of first gen students come from poor backgrounds. And so not only, are they being forced to be at home, but they also have to deal with not being able to work the way they normally would be able to work. Some of my students haven't been able to get jobs. They were supposed to do internships. And so, they've been affected really, really harshly. And I feel for those kids. And some advice that I would give to them is to remember why you're in school. The why is the most important, because typical students who go to school, they go to school to find themselves, or they go to school to train for their careers. But first gen students, we go to college to change the trajectory of our life. That's why we go to college. And so what I want those students to think about is, if they don't have the resources that they need to be able to do the work that they have to do for their schoolwork, think creatively. If you have to go sit at the library for several hours, go sit at the library. That's if the library is even open. Try to find other places that you can go if you don't have that internet access. Be smart, and don't forget to hustle and make sure that you are up on your work. And so, my first gen brothers and sisters, I want you to remember your why. Remember why you went to school. I want you to think creatively about how you can use the resources that you have, and then hustle. Don't forget to hustle, and always strive for excellence, even though you may be in a space that does not breed excellence. Try your best to continue on your excellence pathway.
Absolutely. And Dr. Ellington, you touched on a very key thing, the why. And
Yes.
I think sometimes, especially in a quote unquote normal world, we forget that because there's
Yes.
so much going on. But I feel like right now, especially for first generation students, is their time to excel. Because
Yes,
even though
it
we
is.
have, the COVID going on, and, we still have little things going on as far as the protests and the Black Lives Matter movement, this is still that downtime to, like you said, hustle on your schoolwork. I mean, if you
Yes.
can, maybe be creative. Like you said, this, to me, this has been the best year for creativity.
Yes, it has. Yes, it has.
I mean, Dr. Ellington, when I tell you, when the country first shut down, I felt a creative spark just like light me on fire. Like I felt like a
Mm,
phoenix.
mm.
I mean, from, like I said, I started this new healthy lifestyle and I've been doing pretty good. It's been a
That's
little
great.
challenging. Like my friend described it as, when you start a new, I don't want to call it a diet because I don't believe in diet. That's why I call it a healthy lifestyle. Whenever you
Yes,
change
yes,
your lifestyle, health wise, it's like quitting smoking. You have
yeah,
to
yeah.
replace that you snacking on the Doritos or taking a trip to, I call it crack Donald's because it is. Um, taking a trip to crack Donald's, or, getting that cup of Starbucks like a little peon in the game.
Yes, yes,
You have to really be creative and think like, do I really need this right now? I
yeah,
just ate. I'm full, so it's been a process and also a journey in itself. And it's been challenging but fun. And I feel like if
yeah.
something doesn't challenge you, then what's the point?
That's right. That's right. And that's why so many people, don't get to where they want to go because it's hard, you know? And some people don't like to work hard. They don't like to be challenged. And so they don't get a chance to really grow. And like you said, I mean, it's a great thing, to be challenged. It's a great thing to have, these difficulties that you can overcome because, the joy that you get when you overcome those, I mean, it's well worth it.
I agree. And it gives you time to build character,
Yes.
right? I mean, because it's easier to point the finger at other people, but it's harder to do it on yourself.
Oh, yeah.
And this, like I said, with the country shutting down, it has given me so much time to think over and work on my craft, because we all
Yeah.
have a gift
Yes.
and you
Yes.
just have to use it. Like one of my friends shared something with me maybe about a month ago. It was some little article that she found, and it talked about, how God has given us all a gift. And if your gift is not
Mhm.
benefiting him or helping someone else, why should you have it? And it's true.
That's right.
Your
That's
gift isn't
right.
supposed to be shoved under, a rock like Patrick from SpongeBob. I mean, it's true. I mean, it's supposed
Yes.
to be used, to help somebody else or to, help you.
That's
And
right.
so I would say this has been like a year of opportunity for so many people, especially me. I mean,
Yes.
like I said, I can talk about all the great things that have happened despite all the chaos, but there's been some good in there.
Yes, that's true. That is so true.
And it's all about the mindset that you have, right? Keeping like, yeah, okay, you may have lost a few things here, but remembering that you're still succeeding, you're still going, even though some days look more like Groundhog Day than others.
Yes. Yes.
So, Dr. Ellington, tell our listeners about your first generation revolutionaries movement.
Just so I can make it clear for those people that don't know what first generation is, first generation means that you are the first person in your family to go to college and to obtain a degree. And so the first generation revolutionaries movement is a movement that was built to support students and young professionals who are first gen. And so a first generation revolutionary is someone who has completed their degree. They have gone off into their respective careers. and they're using their skills and their first gen experience that they had to be able to help other people. I believe that if you're we were just talking about just a moment ago about service, if you are servicing others and you're giving your gifts back to others, then you are a revolutionary. You know, two good examples that I had are, I have two friends of mine that come up is my friend Alicia Robinson. She has a nonprofit that she started called Limitless Ambition, and she works with young girls, and she's also first generation. She was actually one of my students, you know, years and years ago. And then a friend of mine, Dr. Ron Lewis, he also works with first gen students. He has a book called Gritty. He and his twin brother, they have a foundation called the Lewis Way Leadership Development, where they also work with first gen students. So those two are prime, you know, perfect examples of what a revolutionary is.
And Dr. Ellington, being a revolutionary yourself, I would say, what was one of the key things that kept you going through all the challenges?
You know, those challenges, I would have to say being resilient. That was one of the things that kept me going, because I knew that I wanted better than what I saw around me, what was in my, you know, in my peripheral. I knew I wanted something different than that. And so that helped me, you know, be resilient. Also, you know, coming from the inner city, I was able to figure out a way to develop a really strong work ethic, because I wanted excellence and hard work to be kind of like my path out of the inner city and out of poverty. You know, that was the biggest thing for me, is to be able to try to take my family out of this generational curse of poverty that we've been in for many, many years. And another thing about being first gen has taught me is to be authentic in who you are. And the reason why I say that is because there's so many people that will tell you you don't belong. So whether it's your family telling you you don't belong in college, or it's the administrators telling you don't belong there either. And if you have the strength to be able to just be who you are, regardless of what other people think about you, then you're well on your way. And, you know, grace was something else that helped sustain me too. And grace that I was able to find myself, and then, you know, grace that was given to me by God. I mean, God really has been a major, major part of all of the success that I've had. And he's given me the grace that he's given me. I've been able to give that grace to other people. And because of the fact that I struggled coming up, you know, I know what it's like to struggle, and I try my best to be mindful of other people's struggles.
And I like that, Dr. Ellington, because in the world that we live in right now, where there's so much we're bombarded by, you figure social media is 24/7, and you figure I use the McDonald's line analogy for everything whenever I bring this up. You figure you go to McDonald's, you're going to wait in that line for whether it's the McFlurry, McChicken, whatever, because it's instant. You're going to get it.
Yeah.
And with that being said, I feel like sometimes we have that same mindset put into a lot of different things, because we take that McDonald's analogy to everywhere we go, because it's instant.
Yeah.
We know we're going to get it.
Yeah. Yep.
And that's why sometimes a lot of people, we're not mindful to their struggles, because on Facebook and social media and LinkedIn, you see, oh, look at that person being successful. They opened a nonprofit. But we don't realize the blood, sweat, and tears, that all the hours that was, you know, had been put in for them to gain that first step of getting their nonprofit launched.
Yes. And one of the best things you can do for yourself is to not compare yourself with other people, you know, because especially on social media, because they try to make everything look so good, you know, and trying to compare yourself is not healthy to your mental health or your personal spirit. So
talk a little bit more about that, Dr. Ellington, because I think social media makes it hard not to, because you're seeing everything. You see, your friends' success. You even see, your family members if they're on your Facebook or whatever form of social media. And even down to the different pages you follow, whether it's a news
Yeah.
page or photography or even, a brand. You see that they're coming out with all this new stuff, and then you're trying to create something new and it's not getting the attention that you want it to. So talk a little bit about that, Dr. Ellington, on how what are things to keep in mind when we find ourselves wanting to compare ourselves to other people?
Oh, wow. Something that I have learned for myself is to not be in competition. God, as we were talking about, being here, for a certain reason, God giving everyone a gift for a particular reason, and that reason is to serve. And I really, don't get off on comparing myself to other people. And in fact, I'm not really much of a competitor. And I know that's bad to say, being an entrepreneur, because entrepreneurs have to compete in whatever their respective market is. But the way I look at it is, if I'm doing the very best that I can do, and if I am servicing the people that I need to service, that God has called me to service, then I'm doing well. And regardless of what everybody else is doing, I am doing what God's will is for me to do. And that really helps me not think about comparing myself, or, not think about, well, such and such over here, they just did X, Y, and Z, and now I need to, try to figure out how I can do that too. But I've been really lucky, I caught on to that kind of competition thing, a long time ago. I've never been a very competitive person. I just do my best, and if my best is good, it's going to be good, and I try to make sure that I'm always excellent in everything that I do, no mediocrity at all, with everything that I do. And, and I think that everybody should try their best. Everybody should do the best that they can and just be happy with whatever their best is, instead of comparing.
And you're right. And I think sometimes when people have been traumatized,
oh yeah,
and you figure social media is a breeding ground of all. I call Facebook the trash can, to be honest with you. That's what I refer to it as. Because think about it. All of the posts, you see a plethora of stuff at one time. The first thing you might see is something from your local news station that says 5 people died in a car crash. Then the next post might be somebody had a baby. Then another one might be somebody had a miscarriage. I mean, so all those mixed emotions that are eating you up on the inside will drive you crazy.
Yeah.
And that's not healthy for you.
And that's why I limit how much time I spend on social media.
I tell people all the time, I go on social media strike all the time. Just because that little green dot is on my Facebook doesn't mean I'm actively scrolling through my newsfeed.
Yeah.
I rarely take time out of my day to scroll through my newsfeed. I would say I do it maybe once a week, and it's not even for very long. I would say maybe 10 minutes, if that. And then the other problem is, Dr. Ellington, I have squirrel attention span, so I can't really sit and, look at this. Ooh, look at this meme. Like, I just can't. My brain is going too many miles a minute for that.
Yeah.
And I think one other thing, Dr. Ellington, that people should keep in mind is that just because somebody's business is growing at potentially a quicker rate than you, you have to keep in mind that they probably went through the same thing that you're currently going through.
Oh yeah. I have a great example of that. I have a friend of mine. She and I are kind of on the same path with, starting our speaking businesses and becoming entrepreneurs. She's also a professional working in her respective field, and, is now branching off into entrepreneurship. And she started getting a lot of national media attention, and which is amazing. And I'm so happy for her. But a little tiny bit of me on the inside was like, well, dang, like, when is mine going to come? And then I had to stop myself because I'm like, you know what, if I am not proud and not celebrating her success, I won't get any. So I need to make sure that I am not comparing myself to her and not comparing all the hard work that she put in to be able to get to that point with what I'm doing. So, you know, I felt that little twinge of jealousy, just a little twinge. And then I was able to bring myself back around saying, you know, you gotta get with it, you know, be a blessing to others. And that's what I'm here for. And, you know, I have to be proud of what she's done. She's been in this game a lot longer than I have. And so what she's getting right now, she deserves. And I think that, you know, when you support your friends, you get that support back twofold.
Well, and like you said, she's been in it for a long time. And you know,
Yeah,
even though you've watched her throughout her journey, you don't know all the different hoops and
exactly.
struggles and,
Yes.
you know, forks in the road that she had to go through to get where she is today.
Yeah.
And I'm always about supporting, you know, other people. And I tell people all the time, you know, that's what I have this platform for, to help other people, because you never know who could hear even 5 minutes of our
Yes.
conversation, Dr. Ellington, be like, I need her for this, you know.
Yes.
So it's all about helping others and being
Yes.
mindful that your time is coming. But I think we also have to
That's
keep
right.
in mind that the journey that we're on to get there, however, whatever journey it is, it's unique to us.
Yes.
It's
Yes, it
not
is.
going to be the same like you and your friend. Yes, she's, you know, getting national attention, but you don't know the unique path she had to go down.
Oh, yeah.
You had
Oh,
to go
yeah.
through some losses, some
That's
hurdles,
right. That's right.
but it's all part of the plan. Like, it's, you know, it's all
Yes.
in our plan at the end of the day. And it's really about if you want to stick in it, you
That's
know.
true. You know, you have to, again, think about your why. Why are you in it in the beginning? Are you just in it for fame and to get rich? Or are you in it for another reason, a deeper reason, a richer reason, you know?
Yeah, I mean, that why is indeed a big question that I think a lot of people don't always take into consideration when they want to give up. You
Oh,
know,
yeah.
like, why did I start this in the very beginning? Well, thank you again, Dr. Ellington, for joining me remotely and sharing your knowledge and expertise and giving people some positive words to start our month of August, right?
Yes. Yes.
Happiness.
That's right.
Happiness. So, Dr. Ellington, I know that you post videos every Friday called your First Generation Fridays. So,
Yes.
tell our listeners about these videos and kind of what they can get out of them.
And so the First Generation Fridays started as a way for me to be able to reach out to my respective target market to give them some encouragement. And so when I first started the development of my business, Entirety Incorporated, which is a personal and professional wellness brand, one of the things that was critical for me is to be able to always offer encouragement. As long as I can offer it, you know, as long as I feel encouraged, I got to give that and share that with other people. And so First Generation Fridays is all about motivation, education, and inspiration. And my YouTube channel, like I said, aligns with the mission of the First Generation Revolutionaries movement, which is to help and focus on the professional development and spiritual fulfillment of those individuals that I'm servicing. And so it all kind of goes hand in hand. And so every week I come back with a different topic to discuss. And, you know, my goal with every week is to help people think things through in a different way, to, like I say, to revolutionize the way that they think about life. And this particular week, I'm actually going to be talking about gossip, and specifically gossiping in the workplace. And I think that it's really important for young people who are just coming into their, you know, respective career, or, you know, first generation students who are just now on their way for, graduation, and they're going to be within the next year or so, getting into their respective career, it's really important to help those kids to learn how to behave with work colleagues. Even though nowadays, we are remote, everybody's pretty much remote, but there's still certain workplace behaviors that you have to uphold. And so, like I said, this week is going to be about gossiping and gossiping within the workplace.
And Dr. Ellington, that's a good one to talk about, because if you're first generation and you've been sheltered a lot throughout your life,
oh yeah,
even working remote, that same concept still exists.
Oh yeah, yes it does.
And and even now, to me it's a little uglier now, realistically.
Yeah,
because
it is. Social media
everything's
makes
digital.
it ugly.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it makes it ugly. It's in print, so now it's like the gossip is not just words coming out of your mouth. It's actually like, in print, and everybody can see it.
Yeah, it's like the public forum for shame. I mean,
Exactly. Yes.
I mean, because wasn't Facebook called Face Smash in the very beginning? I think that's what they called it. Mark Zuckerberg and the original founders called it Face Smash, because I think originally it was more of a kind of like a college dating site originally, before it became the big Facebook that we know today. I like that, Dr. Ellington, and I hope that our listeners can take something from that. I mean, because there's a lot of old concepts that still exist, and old things that we may think are archaic, such as gossiping.
Yeah.
But it's still there, but people have had time to be, quote unquote, creative, to kind of like beat around the regular ways of going about it.
Oh yeah.
And you have to be mindful of that, because it can tear you down, and it will take away your focus from the big picture, and also where you're trying to go in life, your why.
That's right. Yep, that's right. And that's what in the video I talk about the effects of gossip, and how not only will it affect you if somebody's gossiping about you, but if you're talking about others, that negativity is going to hurt them. It may even put their job in jeopardy, and it may put your job in jeopardy, because if the wrong person finds out about what you said, and then your boss or supervisor, finds out, it can be just nasty all around. And like you said, the energy that you could be using being productive, if you use that energy for gossip, it's going to definitely slow down your productivity. It's going to definitely slow down your way to excellence.
Absolutely. Yeah, you're absolutely right, Dr. Ellington. Well, thank you again, Dr. Ellington. We're going to be wrapping up here shortly. Can you leave our listeners with some words of advice, especially since a lot of them will be starting school, shortly,
Yes.
Ways to be successful and keeping up with their why they started.
Right. And, what I'm going to talk about now, we really touched on some of it, but this time that we have now, we have been given this precious time from God. God is expecting growth from us. And so I would like for the listeners to ask themselves, what are you doing to grow at this time? How can you use the time productively so that this worldwide pause is not going to be in vain? If you haven't started growing, it's not too late. COVID is still here. Racial tensions are still here. We are still at a pause. How can you use this pause to grow?
Absolutely, Dr. Ellington. I thank you again, and you're right. I like I said, I took advantage of when COVID first came, to get on this healthy lifestyle, maximize my time.
That's right. Yeah.
I mean, because it's been amazing. Because
Yeah, it has been.
If this was a world without COVID, or this year was without COVID, I don't think I would be doing all of the stuff that I currently am because I wouldn't have the time.
Yes, yes. You know, I when I think about COVID, I think about it as amazingly difficult. So amazing in the fact that, you know, we have been given this time to be able to hone our skills or pick up some other skills, you know, and within this time I was able to start my foundation. I just started a foundation. So, you know, it's been amazing to be able to have this time, but it's also been difficult because, like you were saying, you know, you had some friends who had COVID. I actually lost two of my friends to COVID. A friend of mine lost her mom. And so it was, like I said, amazingly difficult.
I love that analogy. It's like beautiful disaster.
That's right, honey. That's right.
I love that analogy.